Hey, we're recording. Yay. This is good. How are you doing, Amanda? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I think I'm here. I feel present. Do I look present?
Yes.
Good. The show is Coffee and Words, and you are my coffee dealer. So which is like way better than a drug dealer. Okay. You're like you are my coffee dealer. And so I thought it would be so cool to have you on and we could chat about coffee and all of the coffee art related things.
Absolutely.
And you're new to the area to me. So when you guys first opened up, I was so excited and to see the new place and to come in there. So tell me a little bit about your background and just how, more about you.
Yeah. So my background started off with Whole Foods, and I wanted a job. I needed any job. And so I went in and I applied, and I got a job in prep foods, and I'm not a cook. So that was awful. And so I immediately started applying for other positions, and I had been in specialty but had to take whatever was available to me when I transferred. And I wanted to get back to specialty, which was like gourmet wine, chocolate, cheese, charcuterie, and coffee. And at the time, then tea as well in that department. So I applied for this position that was called coffee and tea buyer, and I really had no idea what I had just gotten myself into or applied for. And it turned out to be amazing. I got to go through like a coffee education program with them where they did like Coffee 101. And I learned a little more in depth about the background of coffee and tea. And then I started working with some locals in the area when it came to roasting and started really going down the rabbit hole in that. And then it just became very clear to me that I had kind of stumbled into something that was going to end up being a passion. And then as I moved up and on and away from doing that with the company, I found myself really missing doing what I'm doing now. And so when I worked for them and was in that position, I bought all of their whole bean coffee. I worked with local vendors to bring in local coffee roasters. I got to help curate their loose leaf tea program and run a coffee bar, gelato bar, and bar.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I did all their in-house roasting for them. And it was just kind of the best job ever, but we wanted to move to Tennessee, so I took a promotion and found myself on middle management and hated it.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so I had already started plotting, I say, my escape from Whole Foods then, but really the plans started to take form the more we worked towards moving, and it became, a 5 year to a 3 year to um, I found myself working there, becoming more miserable with children, and trying to balance like their expectation of what a working mother should be versus me missing everything with my children. And then
Right.
Jeff Bezos bought the company and he gutted it. And that was really what was holding me there, was good insurance, great benefits, gain sharing, and stock options. And once those were gone, I had no reason. I was like free. It was really kind of liberating. So I took pretty much everything I learned, and I started a food truck initially because I didn't want the overhead.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So in 2018, I branched out as a food truck, and I was doing everything from going to local farmers markets to private events to parking at the Land, which is in Kingston Springs. And they were so generous to host me. And then my truck started breaking down all the time.
Oh no.
Was amazing. So
The
I
non-mobile food truck.
a non-mobile food truck that she let me keep permanently parked at her spot very graciously. Like literally when it broke down, I had it towed back there.
Wow.
and I reopened inside of Little Harpeth Brewery's, essentially their tap room. And then I was there for the better part of a year until the tornado hit it.
Oh no.
Yeah. And at that point, I was already planning a second location here in Dixon. So it was like the tornado hit it, COVID happened 2 weeks later. And a lot of people were really scared at that point in COVID to go out. And I just started saying yes to everything. Every farmer's market that called me, I said yes to. Every like opportunity. I started doing at-home deliveries with no delivery mile radius on it. Like Smyrna, we went to Smyrna to deliver 1 pound of coffee. I just kept saying yes at any opportunity. When it came to get out of the house and do events, we did dock sales at Little Harpeth. So we would sell their 12 packs or flats, and then I would sell whole bean coffee to any of my customers that were missing me and cold brew. And just slowly the farmers market started to gain so much traction that I was then again ready to try to open the location that I was talking about in Dixon. And we moved into the location in Dixon down the street from where we are now. And we were there for about 7 months, and we did an insane amount of money there. And the community's response to us was so overwhelming and amazing. We were kind of capped in that location on how much we could do monetarily with what we could do under our health permitting. So it just became really clear to me that we officially needed a bigger space, and I needed to add food to the menu and alcohol. And so we just hard pivoted, and in 90 days opened a restaurant, including doing a build out. It was absolutely nuts. Like nothing I've ever done.
It was super quick.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. You guys did an amazing job. Fantastic job. Like I went in there for the grand opening at the new location. It was like, oh my word. I was like blown away. It was the Dixon Street Festival, I think was like,
Yeah.
was that the official grand opening? Okay.
Well, that was the first day we opened. So I had recently joined the DDA, and on top of all of like my committee responsibilities that were going on secretarially and planning that event, I was also going to open for the first time that day, and it was bonkers. But I feel like that's the only way to do things is just, go all in.
Absolutely. Okay. So for people that don't know, you own a coffee shop called Pumphrey and Beard. You've built a lot in a short period of time. You must be tired. That's the first thing I'm thinking. I'd be exhausted.
Yes. This year, it holds so much more for us too. I just like put up on social media. We just had the roaster fully installed, and it's live. And we upgraded our roaster from a 3.5 to an 11 kilo, which is amazing. It just means that like what used to take me hours now takes me like 20 minutes.
Wow.
So it's been everything. And I've actually been scrimping and saving towards that machine, I would say for the better part of at least 10 or 11 years. So it's a big milestone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's a beautiful machine.
Oh, yes.
It's gorgeous. Okay. So tell me the story of you and coffee. Like, have you always loved coffee? Or when was your first sip of coffee? Yeah. So no. Okay.
Yeah. So I was never much of a coffee drinker in my early 20s. I would say it was probably my mid 20s. I was a single mom and getting no sleep, living in Chicago. And there was a cafe down by the bar that I worked at called Cafe Mustache. And it was like, if you got a mustache tattooed on you, you could get free coffee. And I was like, done.
Yeah. I can do that.
Yeah. I have a skull on the back of my leg, and I just slapped a mustache on him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that was kind of where I got addicted to coffee. And then really my passion for coffee came around 2011. And I started getting more into the artisanal side of it. I started learning about like micro lots and small holders and started really deep diving into like roasting software and like hot air poppers versus, gas, and just really starting to get into like the nerdier side of it. And had the privilege of going to some like hand brew competitions over in Tampa, and got involved in that for a while. And it just all kind of got put on the back burner to get our family to Tennessee. And then it was just one of those things that was like a nagging thing in the back of my mind that was like, I haven't seen you get out of bed for many things, but this is the thing that gets you out of bed. So I teased that I fell backwards into the profession I have now.
Wow. What do you think sparked that love or joy from coffee? If you didn't grow up drinking it. So like I started drinking coffee probably in middle school,
Oh,
maybe at
wow.
the earliest. At least 11 or 12, I was drinking coffee and loved it. My mom would make a pot every morning. And, that was so exciting for me, as a kid to have coffee, and it just spiraled from there. So if you kind of had like a later start with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very much one of those people that like, they say not every kid should try to go to college. And I was very much one of those kids that went through the motions of going to college and really had no destination in mind of as far as like what that looked like when I was like what I was trying to achieve with it. So I was like floating through college, and I did like audio engineering. I went to like just a community college for a while for like general credits, and then went to a school for interior design, and really thought that I was going to end up in commercial design, and pursued that all the way to Chicago, and then completely fell out of love with it, but fell in love with like art history and the architecture of art. And I think really that was probably the beginning of when the capacity for a career started to open up with me as a person, because I found that I love to read about really boring things. And it started off with beer. And beer, if you've ever read about beer, it's really, really dry. It'll put you to sleep if you're not into it. And coffee is very much the same way. It's like reading about wine, and coffee and wine are actually really similar when you talk about tasting notes and altitude, and where they come from, and how like the soil affects the tasting notes, and climate. And when you really get into the different things about it, it was reading, I think, really that took me down the rabbit hole of really starting to love crafting coffee.
That's exciting to me. That does not sound boring. I would love to read about that. But I was the kid that read the dictionary for fun growing up. So
Oh, wow.
maybe it's just me. No, but no, that sounds so intriguing, because I think we all grab our cup of coffee, but we don't think about all of those things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have not had a truly good cup of coffee if they're just making it at home. And that's not knocking anyone's coffee making skills,
Yeah.
or, it depends on where you go, because I had cappuccinos before, but I discovered cappuccino when I was in Italy.
Oh, yes.
And it was a whole new experience. And it sort of rekindled my love for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
The first few times that I went over there, because it was like, okay, wow, where can I get this in the States? Because this is totally different than anything I've had. So it truly is it's an art form, and it's definitely, it's intricate, the whole coffee world.
Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly always reading more and more and more about coffee. I mean, when you really start to get into it, it just seems endless. And like, I sometimes will find myself reading 2 and 3 different books and they're kind of all about the same thing, and you have to go through the motions of getting to what you're learning about. That every time you reread the same information, it's almost like watching something. You take something new from it, and it's kind of helped me develop my menu and what I want to offer the community, and then also morally and ethically who I would like to be in the coffee community when it comes to sourcing and kind of my impact on things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that and, your goals for that and what you want people to know about, ethical sourcing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things in coffee that I guess a lot of people don't realize. So everybody kind of sees coffee as a commodity, and it is. It's one of the top 10 traded commodities in the world next to gold and silver. And it fluctuates in the market and value. And big players like Starbucks and Dunkin' and the Caribou coffees of the world and things like that, they really dictate the fluctuation of the market based on, I always try to tell people to think about it, and I'm always just happen to be talking to like beer people, so it makes more sense to explain it this way. But it's like when Anheuser-Busch bought Goose Island to play in the craft market for craft beer. And it's not necessarily what they do and what their staple is, but to capitalize on growing trends in industry, they like to go in and get these little micro lots. And some of the businesses are really good and give back and support the local farmers. But a lot of them, when the local farmers can't produce, when it comes to like cherry rust or drought or just any of the many things that can affect a crop, they tend to leave them kind of high and dry, and it puts them out of business overnight. And what they're willing to buy coffee for kind of dictates what it's worth. So I really admire companies like Allegro Coffee. A lot of people have I've heard a lot of feedback about their actual coffee and what they think the taste of it is, but I personally, all things aside, love the ethics behind their company and have really tried to take what I feel is good from what I've learned from them. And, they like to set up fair trade and whole trade contracts with their farmers. So they'll go in and they'll say, I'm going to buy coffee for you for the next 5 years at this set amount, no matter what happens in the market with coffee, so you know what your income's going to be for the next 5 years. And then after that, we'll reevaluate. And then when they run into a bump, they don't walk away from them. They usually give a percentage back to help fix the problem. So like when places started experiencing cherry rust in the industry, which if you don't know what cherry rust is, it's pretty much, I describe it a lot like citrus greening. It's like a fungus that gets into the tree, and essentially there's two green beans that are produced in a cherry. And when cherry rust happens, only one green bean is produced. So overnight, your crop is halved.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're already a small farmer. Say you produce 1,700 pounds a year, and now you're only producing half of that. And then all the titans in the industry that were buying up all of your stuff just walk away from you.
What is the impact on a community when a coffee company just pulls out quickly like that?
It can be pretty devastating. I mean, it's a crop that only produces once a year. And so it's usually not a farm's main crop. Some farmers, yes, but not all farmers. So sometimes they have other crops they can fall back on, but definitely monetarily, it's one of their biggest cash crops as far as what you can get in the market for it if you're having a good year. So it's pretty devastating. I mean, it could put them out of business overnight if they've invested in like wet milling or any type of mills or anything to improve their water system and are holding any type of debt for that. That could be pretty scary. It's just putting local people that already have scarcity due to gang violence or whatever's going on in their country, just, further put out from being able to make ends meet.
Right.
And, we don't see that in our country. All we see is that, we don't have our favorite cup of coffee anymore.
Right. Yeah. We get irritated if the coffee's not on the shelf in the store without thinking about what went into making that bag of coffee. It's so important to think about that.
Yeah. And I often say I'm not a huge fan of the USDA certifications. From what I've read, a lot of the farmers in many countries are already doing things correctly. And I kind of really feel that it's our government regulatory system imposing a third party tax that only has to do with our country, essentially, a USDA certification. And it's a pay to play, and it's a 7-year process to get it. And then you encounter cherry rust. And with that, you like either have to pull your crop completely out, or you have to treat it with a chemical to be able to, salvage it. And that could be pretty devastating if you've gone through an organic certification. I know there's many companies out there that are working to kind of rectify that and put things in place to avoid those situations and to stick with those farmers, but there are more people who aren't. And I think for us as a business, so what I am trying to do kind of with Pumphrey and Beard is, it has always been my dream to go into wholesale and to retail. And I'm working really hard this year to achieve that goal. I would like to go into local retail as soon as possible with canned, bottled, and bagged coffee, and grow my business into more of a regional brand. And as I start to do that, the doors will start to open for me to possibly start working more directly with the people that source coffees from these farmers, so that I can get more selective about who I choose to impact financially. And that's ultimately what I would like to do. And I know that people are like, well, capitalism is king. But I really want to try to, I don't know if it's like ethically capitalized, but like it not all be for my gain, essentially. I really care about the coffee community, and I hope like a part of my 20-year business plan is to eventually start going over into South America, into Africa, into Indonesia, and working directly with farmers, sourcing and, giving a percentage of what we make back to them for whatever they may need to improve their lifestyle, farming, water systems, schooling, whatever it could be.
That is wonderful. And that keeps it going. That's a full circle thing, because you're partnering with them and you're helping them. They're, providing coffee. They're working hard. This is their business and this is what they do and what they know, but you're working with them to ensure they can continue doing that. And so it's a partnership, and that works so much better than, the corporate capitalism that's just gonna, where can I get the cheapest beans, the most of them, and the quickest, and let's get it on the shelves. And I'm not saying that every company does that, but if you have that out there, it's not giving back, which is not sustainable. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we want a sustainable framework there.
Yeah, I believe, I don't know what year it is, but they're projecting at some point in the not so distant future that coffee is going to be pretty expensive, because there's just
heard that
to go around in the world. And I really hope somehow it's not true, but just with everything that's going on, I doubt it.
Yeah. We'll enjoy our cups of coffee while we can and savor every drop. But it makes us more appreciative. It should make us more appreciative of what we have. We have so many, I say this all the time and I think about it constantly. We have so many first world problems, because I would hear myself complain about something and I'll go, did you really just complain about that? What is wrong with you? That is a privilege. That's a luxury, or it's not even a privilege. I mean, it's a luxury to have these things. Like there's so many people that don't have half of what we have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. we as a family made a lot of sacrifices to get our business where it is. And I feel like sometimes when I talk about even the sacrifices we made as a family, as far as like lifestyle and tiny living and no electricity and those things, it's still a real first world problem at the end of the day, because at any point we could have rented or, chose to do that. We as a family were trying to like live within our means, and that's what it was at the time. But it's definitely made me more aware, I think, of what life looks like in places like Peru and, El Salvador and places like that. And that, it's probably just a matter of fact for them. So it's been eye opening, I think, to have that kind of full perspective.
Yeah. Great thing about community, they support the businesses around here. I think that is just a huge thing, the loyalty that we have with
No,
all of that.
Dixon has been absolutely amazing to me. I really resisted the brick and mortar and putting any roots down and taking on overhead and labor and all of these things. And it was like the moment I relinquished that, the community was so amazing and just kind of welcomed and were excited for kind of all the new changes that are going on in Dixon. And I've also found a huge community support over in Thompson Station and Nolensville and East Nashville and Richland. Like we just, our regulars and our customers, they not only got us through COVID, but they're the whole reason that we are able to do what we're doing today.
That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah.
And you guys were much needed here. You have brought something unique and very special to the community. And it's just a great gathering place. And you have so many wonderful activities. We love bingo. Like we live for bingo Sundays. It's the best. So you've got lots of great activities coming up. Lots of neat things. You do painting classes there.
Mhm.
You've got a Valentine's soiree coming up.
I'm so excited about that. So excited. I don't think Dixon has had very many, if any, events like what we're going to throw for that. I'm very excited. We're bringing in a private chef. It's going to be a 4-course plated dinner, 3 45-minute sets of jazz. It's cocktail attire, which is like just below black tie. There's going to be a step and repeat. I'm just really, really excited to throw a good party.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I can't wait to see all of the things that you're going to do. Cause it's like you keep, every time I look at your schedule of things, I'm like, oh, she's doing this and she's doing, and you guys are doing speed dating.
I know. I'm so excited. So with the influx of new people moving to Dixon, like Dixon officially has a singles community and they are bored. It's the general feedback I get.
Before we go, tell me, because we have a lot of people watching, and a recurring theme, we talk, pretty much every show about different aspects of goals and dreams and passions and following all of these things and pitfalls and ups and downs. And you have really come a long way, and you have built something that is still growing. I think you're an inspiration to young people, to older people, to anyone who is trying to build something, anyone who has a dream of building something and doing something like what you're doing, or even people who have tried multiple times and things haven't worked out. What's your advice? What would you tell someone that is pursuing a dream, because it's so easy to give up?
To let go of the expectation of your dream. The moment that I relinquished what I thought I was going to do with coffee, I just got taken directly to where I needed to be, and I fought it for the first year and a half. And I was really like, business wise, this is what works. This is what the numbers say. And the moment that I said yes to everything and started going wherever it took me, like literally wherever it took me, the easier it was, and the more it was more fun, and I met more creative people and people that wanted to work with me and support me. And I would also say sacrifice. A lot of people don't really understand what it means to own a business.
Yeah.
It's bigger than a marriage. You're there all the time, for better or worse. You are financially responsible. I feel so responsible to my team members and their welfare, and how I impact their lives, and providing them with pay, and just like our little community and culture inside of the business. But really understanding that you are just the medium for what's happening around you, and it doesn't necessarily revolve around you, but you have to be there to nurture it every step of the way. And if anybody thinks that they're going to go into a business and not have to sacrifice family time, sleep, what your expectations were, and many other things, they shouldn't do it.
Well, tell me what you want people to know about Pumphrey and Beard and where they should follow you, all the, like your social medias, website, things like that.
Of course. So we just had a team member who's wonderful redo our website. So our new website is up and live, and it is now mobile friendly, which is a big thing we got ragged on before about because I had done it and not a professional. Um, so you can find us at Pumphrey and Beard Coffee Company.com, or you can find us at Pumphrey and Beard on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Pumphrey A Beard or Pumphrey and Beard. When I was setting them up, I'm not tech savvy, and Facebook suggested two. I did both, so now I have two. We have a TikTok and a Twitter, but I don't know how to use those, so I don't. Maybe I'll enlist one of my younger staff members to get on that, but probably not. Like social media is a full-time job.
It is. It so is.
Yes. You can also find us on the Richland Farmers Market Instagram and website, the East Nashville Instagram and website, and I think that those are most of the places. Oh, Caffeinated and Confident. I've done some podcasts with them as well. I contract roast for them. They sell their own coffee, and I help source and roast coffee for them. And they've been really good to me. But also, I don't know if Sweet Teas is going to open yet, but when Sweet Teas opens their in-house cafe, we are not going to have a satellite there, but we are going to provide the coffee for their shop. So I'm excited for that. And
that's exciting.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I know. And you guys are selling their gelato.
Yes, we are. I'm so excited. We're going to be adding blendeds finally, or my version of a blended, because I refuse to do a regular blended, to the menu this spring with their gelato. And I'm pretty excited about that. And then we are currently scouting for 2 more locations.
Whoa. Okay, that's big and exciting.
Yes, I have a big heart for Hickman County, so I'd really like to end up there. And
does that mean I'll see you less?
No. You know, we started living in Hickman County when we first got here, and I just really have a big heart for that community. I would love to find a way to give back, and if that means being an employer over there offering more than $7.25 an hour, which is just awful, that would be how I could make an impact, I think.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on the show. And we're not done, because we're going to do a super special episode of Coffee and Words coming up probably in a week or so. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you again. I appreciate you coming on, and we will talk again very soon.
Cool.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.